Inside the mind of Brendan Abbott.
And
today, a Darwin magistrate approved Abbott's extradition to Queensland. Our reporter Dixie Marshall is in Darwin. Dixie.
Terry, Brendan Abbott wants to serve his jail time in WA. Instead, as you say, he's bound for Brisbane. Ansett and Qantas have refused to transport him back there, claiming he's too dangerous. So Queensland detectives had to fly in a government jet to get him out of Darwin.
How did Abbott appear during the court hearing today?
Well, I guess he appeared quite relaxed in court, a bit fatter than he looked in his mug shots and shorter. His hands were handcuffed behind his back. He was barefoot, wearing a Country Road T-shirt. He told the court he feared he'd be a political hot potato in Queensland.
And Dixie, police have given you some details of what Abbott has told them of his time on the run.
They say he's amazed he's been caught. He's actually asked police how they found him. He's very surprised he was arrested first, before his friend Brendan Bereshon. That was just never meant to happen. These police have had a very interesting insight into the mind of one of Australia's cleverest criminals.
Brendan Abbott has told police he enjoys his notoriety. He watches for television stories on himself, reads newspaper articles. He hasn't fled overseas because he likes being a big fish in the small pond of Australia's top criminals. I take pride in my work, he's told detectives here since his recapture. Abbott is particularly proud of these Queensland driver's licences, elaborate forgeries created by computer. Abbott has acknowledged this shootout in Victoria last month was his undoing. But a sense of loyalty to Brendan Bereshon, who helped him break out of the Queensland jail, kept the pair together. Indeed, Abbott has told police he was surprised he got free in that breakout. He was the last of the escapees to get out, and he had trouble with the razor wire. A confident man, Abbott's told police he hasn't had to bother too often with disguises while on the run. He's flown on domestic airlines all over the country with the help of only a cap and sunglasses. His next flight will be his last for a while. Extradited to Queensland tomorrow, Abbott will spend his foreseeable future here, a special jail within a jail just outside of Brisbane. He'll live in solitary, forbidden to fraternise with other prisoners. Abbott's sister is concerned for his safety there.
I'm concerned that it's become a political issue. I'm concerned for his safety coming back to a Queensland prison. My mum is concerned for his safety. My whole family is concerned for his safety coming back.
Abbott is expected to serve at least a decade in Brisbane before being transferred to Perth, for many more decades at Casuarina.
Whether he's in jail in Queensland or West Australia doesn't make any difference to us. He's off the street, which is what we wanted.
Dixie Marshall in Darwin, National 9 News.
And more of that interview with Brendan Abbott's sister in A Current Affair straight after the news.
To Brisbane to face court over his jailbreak last November. There was extra tight security, as the fugitive boarded a government jet at 9:30 for the 5-hour flight, commercial airlines refusing to carry him. The 36-year-old was recaptured in Darwin on Saturday after 6 months on the run. He's due to appear in court on Friday. And his accomplice, 20-year-old Brendan Bereshon, also captured in Darwin, has just had his extradition treaty signed. He'll be flown to Victoria to face court over the shooting of 2 transit officers in Melbourne last month.
And Brendan Abbott is back in Queensland tonight after 6 months on the run. Abbott flew back on board a Queensland government jet after commercial airlines refused to carry the notorious WA gunman. His movement surrounded by a massive security blanket.
Brendan Abbott was considered too hot to handle by the major airlines, so Queensland Police sent its own jet to Darwin to bring Abbott home.
Brendan, are you looking forward to going back to Queensland?
The notorious postcard bandit was wearing body shackles and surrounded by the territory's tactical response group and Queensland detectives when he stepped onto the plane this morning. Extra armed police were on board to ensure he behaved during the flight to Brisbane. As Abbott's plane left, his alleged accomplice, Brendan Bereshon, was back in Darwin court. The 20-year-old didn't oppose extradition to Victoria during the brief hearing. Not considered the same risk as Abbott, Bereshon boarded a Qantas flight soon after midday, flanked by a heavy guard. He'll appear in Melbourne Magistrates Court tomorrow, charged with attempting to murder 2 policemen in suburban Box Hill last month. Security was tight as Brendan Abbott's flight touched down in Brisbane. He was immediately transferred by police convoy to court and charged over last November's mass escape from the maximum security Sir David Longland jail.
I'm buoyed by Mr. Cooper's comments today that when he's brought back he'll be treated like any other prisoner, which hopefully rules out any of the solitary confinement that's been used in the past.
Today's events bring to a close 6 months on the run for the two Brendans and a massive Australia-wide police manhunt costing almost $250,000. Melissa Toomey, 10 News.
Back in a Queensland jail tonight, extradited from Darwin in a specially chartered Learjet. But police who have interviewed Abbott believe he will probably escape again.
This should be the last we'll see of Brendan Abbott for a few years.
Brendan, are you looking forward to going back to Queensland?
A wry smile, but he's not happy about going back there. He wants to serve his time in Casuarina. Indeed, he owes WA 11 years jail already, and there'll be many more if convicted of the Mirrabooka hold-up. That's what WA police spoke to him about during a 4-hour interview yesterday.
I'm very impressed with him, very intelligent man. He asked me as many questions as I asked him. He obviously wants to know how he got captured.
Abbott told police during the interview he didn't deserve the tag Australia's Most Wanted. "I just robbed banks," he said. "I'm not a violent man."
Police describe Abbott as a loner. Quick, funny.
Some of the things that he was looking for were quite amazing. What he thought we were capable of doing. Things that he thought out for himself about how we conduct our surveillance. He's certainly a thinking man, yeah.
And those thoughts, claim detectives, will have already turned to escape.
I think he'd already be thinking about how he's going to get out next time. Whether he gets that opportunity, I don't know.
Abbott's accomplice, Brendan Bereshon, was extradited to Melbourne this afternoon. Dixie Marshall in Darwin, National 9 News.
Away in maximum security in Woodford Jail north of Brisbane, arriving from Darwin on a police jet.
Banned from commercial airlines, Brendan Abbott was herded onto a police service jet, uniformed officers at every corner, ensuring this time there'd be no escape. With Abbott bound for Brisbane, a detective who spent 4 hours interviewing the infamous escapee offered this insight.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him, very intelligent man. He asked me as many questions as I asked him. He obviously wants to know how he got captured.
Abbott arrived in Brisbane amid unprecedented security. A chopper was standing by for the short flight to the city, then passed a long line of police for his brief court appearance. He faced a charge of escaping lawful custody and 4 other counts relating to last November's dramatic shootout with prison officers. A committal hearing is scheduled for June.
Look, he's a big boy. He's been through this before. He'll survive.
As Abbott began the final leg of his journey back to jail, some were already saying a third escape won't be far from his mind. But that's also on the mind of prison officials who've made special preparations for him. The guards were out in force tonight to greet Abbott at his new home, high-security Woodford Prison. They hope his stay will be a long one. Darren Davies, 7 Nightly News.
There's notorious WA gunman Brendan Abbott faced the courts over his brazen breakout from a Queensland prison. The so-called postcard bandit appeared in chains, surrounded by heavily armed police.
Heavy security for Brendan Abbott, the man once dubbed Australia's Most Wanted, was double cuffed, chained, wearing a bodysuit restraint and under the escort of 2 crack police teams as he arrived in a Brisbane court to admit breaking out of a Queensland prison last November.
He said all along that I think he made a statement when he was first arrested that he'd cop what was coming to him, and really it was just a matter of the charges being sorted out.
I believe the maximum he can get in relation to the offences he pleaded guilty to today is another 7 years, so he could face 19.
But even once he's done that time, Abbott will stay a wanted man. Wanted for questioning over armed robberies in South Australia, wanted too by police here in Perth. Abbott still owes prison authorities here jail time for a 1987 bank robbery and his part in the Fremantle prison riot. Detectives also want to question him again over that Commonwealth Bank heist in Mirrabooka a few days before Christmas. One option for Abbott, returning to Perth where he has family and serving his jail time concurrently.
He made an application to come back to Perth before he escaped. and he certainly indicated in Darwin when I interviewed him that his intention was to come back here.
Recaptured in a Darwin laundromat after 6 months on the run, the so-called postcard bandit has spent his time in isolation.
Brendan Abbott has probably done more solitary confinement than any prisoner in Australia ever.
Abbott will be sentenced in August. Andrea Burns, 10 News.
Abbott was on the run for 6 months before he was caught in Darwin. He'll be sentenced in August.
Sentenced to an extra 6 years behind bars for last November's mass breakout from Brisbane's Sir David Longland prison. There was tight security for his appearance in Brisbane District Court today, where he pleaded guilty to the escape and to 4 counts of serious assault. This latest sentence means the 36-year-old should spend the next 32 years in jail.
To another 6 years for his role in Queensland's biggest jailbreak. Under tight security, Abbott arrived in Brisbane's District Court to face charges over a mass prison breakout last November. He and 4 accomplices used diamond-encrusted wire to break out of a maximum security jail. Abbott's lawyers argued he was driven to escape because of psychological instability.